Welcome, Shane.
Thank you, Priyanka. Great to be here.
Tell us a bit about FanDuel and the business context that you operate in.
So FanDuel today is currently the #1 sports betting company in the United States. We also have a daily fantasy business, a horse racing business, a iGaming business, and more recently we've just launched our new FanDuel TV proposition to bring the entertainment experience more to our customers. FanDuel has been very fortunate in that we've been born in the cloud since practically day one of the organization. And each one of those platforms has very different complex problems that it has to deal with. Think of a major e-commerce platform. We have all the major hallmarks of having to deal with the peaky nature of our business. What is Black Friday and Cyber Monday for Amazon.com. We have with the Super Bowl, where we have to deal with 20 to 30 times, in some cases, the types of workload that we would get versus an ordinary day. We also are effectively like a bank. Lots of money flows through our systems, highly regulated, lots of complex problems generally when you deal with money. We also are like a trading floor. We take our pricing and our products. We have to make sure that those prices and products are being calculated in real time based on sporting events from all over the world. That's a really complex set of problems. We also have a really core focus of delivering responsible gaming to our industry, and that is part of our DNA. We try to build that in across all of those different products. And when we deal with the scaling problems of all of those items, from about 2018 onwards, when sports betting was being legalized in the United States, most companies were trying to figure out how to go from on-premise data centers to the cloud. We had the opposite problem. We actually needed to get out of the cloud and meet our regulatory and legal requirements, where we were literally building data centers for the last 18 to 24 months in every single state that we operate in. That's not an easy task to deal with. And if you bring that back to the scale problems, the latency problems, the data residency problems, that's what makes FanDuel and AWS's partnership really, really exciting over the last couple of years.
So given your need to run edge compute workloads, you've been an early customer of AWS Outpost service and now local zones. What were your top of mind business requirements as you went about evaluating these services?
Yeah, like most organizations, agility and time to market is usually way up there as a business requirement. We want to launch in a new location at the earliest opportune moment. And actually, internally, we have metrics, the earliest allowable second. So if a regulator tells us that we can launch at midnight, we want to aspire to launch 1 second later. That's not an easy thing to do, but we want to set that bar very, very high for ourselves, because early access into a market is critical for a brand new industry like sports betting. Regulatory and compliance is always top of mind. We want to fully abide by our regulatory and compliance needs. And as I said, we want to be an industry leader in responsible gaming, making sure that we're doing the best that we could possibly do when rolling out our products and services to our customers. Capacity management and availability, always a key challenge for most organizations building private data centers. We wanted to provide the best customer experience, the fastest, the most reliable experience. And we wanted our customers to be able to use our products when they wanted to do it, not when it suited us. And that meant that we really had to think about how we were going to deal with this spiky nature of our business in the context of running our workloads. And finally, I think performance and latency, that trading floor concept. Latency is really, really important from a risk perspective. If it takes more than a second, it takes too long. When something happens in a sporting event, we need to know about it. We need to calculate, recalculate, and then distribute all that content down to every single customer that we have all across the United States, all in that highly distributed operating environment. And I think when we look at all of that combined, there's many other requirements that I'm glossing over, but these are the primary four.
So what distinct benefits did AWS Outpost and local zones help you achieve?
So if we take those big ticket problems, faster time to market, that's the core, right? When we started to build our platform, it was taking about 12 to 16 weeks. Think about ordering a data center, getting some hardware, installing that hardware, then installing your software, testing it, getting it ready to go live, and then flicking that switch to go live. With Outposts, we really challenged ourselves to take that problem and flip it on its head. How do we make it so that the installation of the hardware is the last thing that we do? And the seamless ability to work across region and in an outpost or a local zone means that we can pre-deploy all of our software, we can test, performance test, really get the platform ready to go, so that the final piece of the puzzle is just redeploying our software. And we have some very creative engineers in FanDuel, fantastic team, who take these challenges day in, day out, and they turn them into reality. Great example, last year on the 31st of December, 2021, New Year's Eve, we had a team of AWS engineers go into our data center that was brand new in the state of New York. 8 days later, we went live to our customers. That would be unheard of in a traditional on-premise environment. And when you look at what happened in those 8 days, a lot of work happened before that, but actually, getting the software to be deployed and do the final testing configuration was the final piece of that puzzle. We have recently begun to deploy into local zones, and that takes that strategy, which is local zones are very complementary to that strategy. Having the single control plane, having the hardware and the platform capabilities, but also wrapping that up into the data center and the network means that we can go even faster, and we're going to constantly try to challenge ourselves to take that 8-day period and shrink it down even further. When we look at capacity management, when we were building this first, before Outposts was generally available, we worked with many hardware vendors to try and figure out, how would we build this ourselves, piecing together best of breed network, hardware, compute, but also trying to take a build once, deploy anywhere type mentality, cookie cutter the entire environment. That's complicated and requires an awful lot of investment in resource to figure out even simple things like getting device drivers working, getting the ecosystem correct so that all the software works nicely with each other. And throughout COVID, many of you, if you were buying hardware, supply constraints was a big problem for us, just getting access to hardware. By using Outposts, Amazon is using the same hardware in a region as they are with the Outposts in the local zones environment. We get to leverage all of the investment they've made over many years, as well as having the logistical problem really, really solved for us. The AWS team really helps to focus on that delivery, and we get to focus on building fantastic products for our customers. I think local zones, with even less hardware management for us, Jan referenced it's not a server or a rack, that's what you order, but you do get Amazon really in your data center. It's a fantastic platform. I think finally, enhanced player experience with reduced latency. The more we utilize Outposts, the more we realize actually that we can create even more efficiencies within our application environment. Take that the approach of being able to put some services in a region, some services in a state. We've seen in certain examples where our applications will perform 30 to 40% faster by simply bringing them closer and running them on an outpost, and then architecting the applications correctly so that when we're transferring the data back up to the region, it just works really, really well. And again, getting a 30 to 40% performance improvement, based on traditional off-the-shelf hardware, again, that's a really, really important part to that latency story.
FanDuel is such a great example of how the AWS partnership and our use of edge compute services are helping customers like you scale. Shane, what does the future hold for FanDuel?
Yeah, great question. I think it would be really important for me to just say we want to really continue the great work that we're doing. The foundations that we've built over the last 2 years have really been instrumental in the success of us being able to launch new platforms. We do want to extend it, the ability to use local zones as well as outposts where available in any given state. We deal with capacity management issues, but actually how do we make that become a more efficient and sustainable model where we can take our disaster recovery sites, which is utilizing the same hardware, how do we re-architect and take the learnings from what is a region in AWS and build our own miniature availability zones by combining the architectures together. And that multi-data center topology, I think, is going to not only give more availability, more opportunities, and provide that better customer experience. Being able to deal with the peak and the bursty nature of Super Bowl, being able to just burst into a secondary data center is going to be really, really important as we continue to grow, 5 to 10x, hopefully year over year. I think lastly, the environment that we operate in, we're in about 17 or 18 states. It changes very regularly as we're launching. That means we have about 30 data centers, or we will have about 30 to 40 data centers over the course of the next 12 to 18 months as we build out disaster recovery sites and those primary hosting locations. That's going to put an immense strain on our network because how we connect all those environments together is the next set of problems that we need to solve for. It works today, but how do we get it so that it's multiple gigabits of transit, being able to securely manage all those sites? And we're actively looking at things like AWS Cloud WAN as a way to really simplify the management and the overhead of that network and really leverage the rest of the AWS ecosystem. So some really exciting things coming.
It is so great to hear how you have been able to reduce your time to market, reduce costs, navigate regulatory requirements, all to reimagine your business operation. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Shane.
And thank you very much to everybody for listening.